morning today, Friday, the 19th of October. This is WGTV Today. I'm Wayne Alley.
And I'm Kim Best. Good morning. Thank you for being with us.
Have we got a show for you today? Boy, we have got so many people on. Well, actually, we don't have so many people, but we have some great information for you. Today we're going to be talking with Kevin Johnson of the Cooperative Extension Service. He's got a lot of great information for us.
So he's talking about farmers, I believe.
He is. Imagine that.
Farmers in Wayne County.
Yeah, imagine that. He is talking about that. Of course, he is the ag agent for us here in Wayne County. Kevin Johnson, looking forward to that. Also, you have a big update for us on Streetscape.
We do. We talked with the project manager of Streetscape, Josh Price, and he gives us details of what happened the prior 2 weeks and what we can look forward to seeing in the next 2 weeks. And he's talking about planting these trees on Streetscape and all the changes that we are seeing. It's so close to being done, Wayne.
I want to hear this. This is going to be good stuff.
It is good. And then the last one is the tour of the fire department.
Yeah, you did a big tour of the fire department.
We did. I had 2 firemen from the GOLDSBORO Fire Department, Station 1, who walked around with me from the minute I walked in the door. They gave me a complete tour. They brought out all the different fire trucks and told me the differences, and it was fantastic.
Wow.
A lot of history. They talked about history of the GOLDSBORO Fire Department.
Love that.
It's just really good.
Okay. I had to...
Don't go there, Wayne.
Okay.
Don't go there.
Okay. Anyway, moving on.
That's right.
We have today, what do we have? Is the pumpkin carving today?
No, the pumpkin carving is, let's see, it is Tuesday, October 30th.
Tuesday the 3rd. Oh, okay. That's
But
we
this
got plenty
weekend
of time
is
to
the
get
Fall
ready.
Festival. Tomorrow is the Fall Festival over at Herman Park Center.
Okay,
with
that's
Parks
what I
and
was
Recs.
thinking about then, I
That's
guess.
right.
Okay, yeah, that's coming up. Got some blood drives to tell you about. We'll do that in the next segment. As well as a lot more to tell you about. Got the Jazz on George next weekend as well.
That's right. You have Jazz on George that Saturday, which is from 1 until 7 p.m.
Right.
You have the Really Chili Challenge, which is the Community Soup Kitchen's chili cook-off, which will be that morning from 11 until 1. There was a third thing that happens that day as well. What is the third thing?
It's a secret. We'll have to tell you later.
It's a secret. We'll tell you later. But that is a full day of events,
That's
isn't it?
right. It's going to be a bit. Well, you know, it's that time of year.
It is. It is.
This is a great time of year. The weather is perfect. Have you noticed lately the beautiful sunrises we have?
Well, no.
What?
No.
Oh, you.
I have not.
Now, wait a minute. It's a little after 7 a.m. What do you walk in here with your eyes closed? What's the matter
I'm
with you?
getting ready.
Oh, okay.
I'm getting
All
ready
right.
to walk in the door.
Enjoy the sunrises. They are absolutely gorgeous. Get up a few minutes early. It is well worth it. All the reds and grays and the pinks and the oranges. Is just,
Let's all pay attention tomorrow.
Yes, do that.
Pay attention.
There will be a test. Number 2 pencil and all that stuff, okay?
That's right.
All right, coming up, we've got Kevin Johnson. Kevin is straight ahead. We're going to go straight to the Cooperative Extension Service and talk to Kevin Johnson about stuff
Farmers.
in the agriculture community of Wayne County, and I guess we'll talk about farmers too.
That's right.
WGTV Today. Our guest today, Kevin Johnson of the Wayne Cooperative Extension Service. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, I grew up, my grandparents particularly, and my uncles and aunts and all those folks in my families on both sides were farmers, primarily in the middle part of the state, up around the Winston-Salem, north of that area. Tobacco farmers and other things as well. You know, and my grandmother, of course, they had gardens and they would can things, and we had a root cellar and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, the good eating, the good days, the good
old days, yeah.
But you know, times change and things change, and through no control of our own, farming has changed greatly.
Great.
And it has changed to the point, just in the last few years, technology has entered the picture big time.
Yes.
Now, tell me, if you will, the difference between the tractors of, say, 20 or 30 or 40 years ago and the tractors available now to farmers, and what we have to use in tractors.
Well, it doesn't matter if you're dealing with what type of tractor it is, whether it's John Deere, International, Ford, it doesn't matter. You know, before tractors first came out really in the teens and 20s, and of course they used to have steam tractors way before our time. But
yeah, long before I was ever born.
Yes, and of course then the gasoline tractors came out, and they were very popular. The old Farmall, John Deere had several. of the old tractors back from the 40s all the way up through the 60s. And of course now, almost all the equipment is diesel driven, but it's so different because they're hydrostatic. Most of the equipment is hydrostatic. So what that means is, before they were changing gears, whether it be on the floor or up here on the side.
Right.
Now they're driving their equipment with one lever.
A joystick.
Almost a joystick.
Almost a joystick.
Almost a joystick.
Okay.
And so they want to go forward, they push it forward. They want to go backwards, they go backwards.
Yeah.
It's amazing to see these combines, which are hydrostatic. And having grown up with an old International combine where you were sitting in there, and of course you were fighting the header, and you had all these levers. Of course, you didn't have air conditioning and didn't have a cab for a long time. And now you see this equipment that they're actually driving, this monster equipment, sometimes with 30 foot plus headers, and they're driving it with one hand. You know, and of course, the other unique thing is, not only are they driving it with one hand, but you have all this equipment in there that can keep up with what the yields are. And a lot of that's being driven by GPS. So you can be riding through the field, you know, at that spot, you know, say my corn is averaging 150 bushels, and it's keeping up with it in the computer. And it'll keep up with the variability in the field.
With the volume of the commodity.
With the volume of the commodity. It'll keep up with the
Wow.
variability. So they can use that technology from their harvest along with their technology from like soil samples. They'll do that with GPS,
Right.
and they can find the weak spots in their field. They can try to determine, you know, why is it, you know, why is my yields not as good right here as it would be in this part? And it may be soil driven, you know, it could be other factors. But yes, the technology of just how the equipment has changed. But this GPS technology is another whole subject, because now they have auto steer with some of the equipment.
Auto steer.
Auto steer. So what that does is, it's driven by a GPS signal, and they can get, say if they want to run straight rows, say they're putting tobacco rows in, or
Right.
say they're planting peanuts,
Okay.
where it is very important to have it straight. So they can go in there and set it up using the GPS signals, and they'll go, and they can take their hands off the wheel till they get to the end of the field. Now they're going to have to turn it around, you know. But what that will do is the GPS will drive that, and we're talking within a half an inch, and that might be with a half a mile long field. It'll
My
be within a half an
goodness.
inch. So that's wonderful technology. And
So,
somebody,
so the farmer sitting in the tractor
yeah.
takes his hands off the wheel, reads a newspaper, has a cup of coffee, calls his wife, says, "Darling, I'm out here in the field. I'll be home after a while."
I'll be home after a while. It's me. I hope they don't have newspaper out there, because they still have to monitor.
Oh, okay.
They have to monitor, make sure that their signal's strong.
Well,
and
so maybe I took a little liberty
Yeah,
there.
yeah. But it is neat, and it's not. The technology's not there just so that they don't have nothing to do. It's the precision, because you want everything precise.
Right.
Everything's about maximum yields.
Right.
So, you know, running straight rows, making sure that the seed drop precisely, you know, every 3 inches, depending on the crop, and the equipment will do that for you.
My goodness.
And I'll give you an example so that our listeners will understand. Peanuts is a good example. You plant peanuts in rows, and they really get bushy, but then you have to dig them and turn them up and let them dry for about a week before you run the combine. But you have to dig them and put them up. If you get off just an inch, you will leave a significant part of your peanuts in the field, in the ground. You won't never get them up. So it's important that you put your digger, like, you've only got inches. You have to get it almost precisely right on top of the row so that you'll maximize your yields.
So the farmer, with the help of GPS, is able to do that within an inch or two in a long run.
In a long run, exactly.
My goodness.
So, and that's just, we mentioned GPS. They do have monitors on their planters now that, like I say, that help put the seed exactly the right depth, that make sure if it misses a few or if it gets stopped up, alarms go off. And stuff like that when we were growing up didn't exist.
That,
you know, you might plant down to the end of the field and come back and discover that, you know, the planter was stopped up, you know, and then Daddy was not happy with you later on when there were missed rows. And of course, we didn't know. We didn't have any way of knowing without getting off and checking. So technology has really changed, really has. But it comes at a cost. It is expensive.
It is expensive.
It is expensive.
Now, I used to have trouble with a mule.
Yeah.
And
that's another whole. There's a lot of issues there.
Yeah.
You hope that the mule would cooperate.
Yeah, well, they never did, or they rarely did. Mule had a mind of its own, a little stubborn, but my granddad finally got beyond that.
Yeah, and you know that you probably got one of the small tractors to go along.
A little Ford, a little 8N.
And so things have changed for the better.
Yeah.
They have changed for the better, but technology, we've got to have all this technology out there, whether it be in equipment, it be in genetics with our crops, because right now statistics say that a farmer feeds 155 people. And it's a well-known fact that a farmer's got to feed over 500 people by the year 2050. And the only way that's going to happen is with technology. You know, because we don't have any more farmland. And generally, we're losing farmland because the more people you have, the more goods and services and houses and roads. And so in order for us to feed the population, you know, we've got to do it with technology. And of course, we're well on the way with farm equipment. And of course, even with the genetics with our crops, you know, we've got to make sure we yield more.
All right. Well, it seems that here in Wayne County, we're at the forefront of all this.
We are. We have cutting-edge farmers. You know, we have some of the best farmers in North Carolina and probably the United States. I mean,
no question.
And Wayne County is such a significant player in agriculture, and a lot of our listeners probably don't even realize that we're the fourth largest agriculture county in North Carolina. I think we're right around the 50th largest agriculture county in the United States, and that's with over 2,000 counties in the United States. So we're a major player.
We are a major player.
And a lot of our farmers are educated, and we have farmers with master's degrees. We have a lot of farmers that have business degrees. You know, so it's a business.
Now, when I was just a tyke, you could tell farmers. They wore their coveralls. Often had a blade of grass sticking out of the. And but you could just tell, and it's an honorable profession, and people and farmers were loved, and they are now. But it's entirely different now.
It's entirely different.
It's a business.
It's a business.
More of a business than it was.
It's a small business. Each farm is a small business, and so I remember growing up. My granddad wore overalls every day.
Oh yeah.
You know, and that was the image that the American public had, was that a farmer wore overalls. He had the hat on, the fertilizer hat. Drove around in an old pickup with a dog in the back.
That's it, always.
And times are really different now. Our farmers are, you know, they're very, not that our grandfathers and great grandfathers weren't intelligent, but we're at a different level now.
It's different now.
It's very different. Where, you know, a farmer today, he almost has to be an accountant. He has to be a businessman, of course. He almost has to be a lawyer,
scientist,
a scientist, an agronomist. You know, a meteorologist, or at least hope to take advantage of the weather as best as he can. So there's so much going on. You know, so that image of a farmer, that is from the past. Right. You know, our farmers today, a lot of times you're in the public with them and don't even know.
Don't even know they're farmers.
Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly.
Well, we dig it here in Wayne County.
We do dig it in Wayne County.
Yes, we do indeed. Our guest today has been Kevin Johnson of the Wayne County Cooperative Extension Service. Kevin, always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you, Wayne.
I'm Wayne Alley for WGTV. We're We're back on WGTV today. It is a Friday morning, oh boy, and don't forget tonight at Old Waynesboro Park, the paranormal organization here in the Wayne County area will have their big event. It's the paranormal investigators, Eastern Carolina Paranormal Investigators having an event tonight and tomorrow night at Old Waynesboro Park. It starts at 7:30 p.m. and just be prepared to have the bejeebers scared out of you. Boo. $15 each, but it's a lot of fun and it's a big fundraiser for them.
It is, and I talked with them recently, and what their funds are going towards are the Explorers program. The Explorers program for the fire department and the police department.
The Scouts Explorers. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, no, they're not Scouts.
They're Explorers.
This is a program just with, and I believe they said this one's going for the police department. It is a program where young boys and girls can join this program and learn how to be a policeman, fireman, and they're actually able to do quite a few things with the department themselves.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, that's what the funds go towards.
I believe one of the key personnel in the paranormal investigators is. I won't mention any names, but he's a Goldsboro police officer.
He sure is.
And he does a great job with the police department and with the paranormal investigators as well.
That's right.
It's a lot of fun.
Right.
Also, this coming Tuesday, be prepared for this, the Industry Celebration, Wayne County Industry Celebration, getting underway, celebrating its industries, the week of October 23rd through the 25th, and on the 25th, some unsuspecting industry,
We're going to surprise you.
Yeah, boo. Will be named Industry of the Year. So that's a big event.
That
also, the golf
event.
tournament involved. There's all kinds of stuff. It's a big three-day event. All right?
And you know what? Tomorrow, oh gosh, no, it's today. Plumtree Marketplace from 4 until 7 this afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
They're having their farmers market in their community garden. They have local produce, local artists, American, Indian, you know, all their all their information and local art about Indians will all be out there. So go this afternoon and just walk around, see what they've got. Like I said, it's from 4 until 7 at Plumtree Marketplace.
And that's on North George Street, between that street and the other one. So it's Walnut and...
George, maybe?
No, Walnut and Mulberry.
Okay.
No, Chestnut and Walnut. That's where it is.
I do not know.
Yeah, it is. It's between Chestnut and Walnut on North George Street.
They
That's
have
the
a
Plumtree
nice
Garden.
big lot,
That's right. Oh, yeah.
and they have, it's just set up beautifully, and they really have some great produce, and like I said, local artists present their art out there. So it's a nice event. Go check it out.
Yeah, you can't miss it. Just look for downtown Goldsboro and get on North George. You can't miss it. It's got a big tent out there and everything. It's a great place to go. Also today, Friday, at the Wayne Center, the curb market gets underway. Right. Oh boy, you want some good eating, some good home cooking? Check it out at the curb market. Let me tell you, you will not be unhappy about it. It is a great eating. It
is. I was telling Wayne, I remember growing up, my mom would go through there and get good old black-eyed peas and collard greens and bring that stuff home, and we were in heaven.
Oh, yeah.
It was great.
Love that. Now, that's good eating. And if you're not from around here, you need to try it and find out what real food is like.
Southern country cooking.
Yeah, there you go. Also, today is the 19th. Today is Yorktown Day. America's real Independence Day in Yorktown, Virginia. This day, 1781, celebrating the victory at Yorktown. 1781 it was. Also, today is, okay, speaking of food, Greasy Spoon Day. It's the time to remember your favorite place to eat back in the good old days. And you wonder if it's still in business. I had a favorite Greasy Spoon spot I used to go to when I was 12. I mean, when I was older. And that also today, the beginning of the 2-day Woolly Worm Festival in Banner Elk, North Carolina, and it is a big event. And they use the woolly worm to predict how severe the weather's going to be during the winter months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the
woolly worm.
Either the more stripes or the bigger stripes the woolly worm has, and the harsher the winter we're going to have. We'll let you know how that goes. All right. Also, birthdays today include John Lithgow, the actor, is 67 today. Jeannie C. Riley.
Who that is?
She is the singer who did the Harper Valley PTA.
Oh yeah.
67 today, and former first daughter Amy Carter is 45. Can you believe that?
How did she catch up with me?
I don't know.
I didn't know she.
I don't know.
Oh my gosh! You mean she's still not like 12?
She's not like 12. She's like 45 today.
How did does that happen? I
don't know. Every year they get, for some reason,
they get older.
Go
but
figure.
She just somehow really did catch up.
I know. Don't forget also Tuesday, city employees of Goldsboro having a big blood drive. That's coming up at the Kleeman Street site of the Public Works Maintenance Center. That's right. On the 23rd.
That's right. Let's see, at the Paramount Theater, Saturday, October the 27th, that was the third thing that was happening that day.
That's the third thing.
The North Carolina High School Theater Conference is taking place. There will be children from across this state coming and competing. They're doing like little one acts, and they will be competing with other high schools across the state. So on that particular day, if you're interested in seeing them, come by the Paramount Theater. So that is North Carolina High School Theater, Saturday, October 27th. The Really Chilly Challenge, Saturday, October the 27th. Jazz on George, Saturday, October the 27th.
Wow, that's
You have a lot to choose from.
A lot to choose from, oh boy.
I knew there was a third thing. It just couldn't figure out which one it was.
Well, there's so many things to keep up with.
There are.
All right. We have our streetscape update.
Yes.
We're ready for that.
We are ready. Let's hear what Josh Price, which is the project manager for the Streetscape project, he's giving us an update on, like I said, what's happened the past 2 weeks, but also what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks, what you can look for out on the Center Street project. And he'll tell you if we're on time, if we're planning to complete the project on the projected date. Hello and welcome to Streetscape Update. I'm Kim Best, your host, and we're dedicated to keeping you informed on Goldsboro's news and activities. Do you know what's happening in your city? Well, today I'll talk with Meg GERNAAT, and she is from the Downtown Goldsboro Development Corporation, and she is the promotions coordinator. I'll also speak with Josh Price from Daniels & Daniels Construction. He is a construction project manager, and he'll give us updates on where we are with our Streetscape project. This morning I'd like to welcome Josh Price, who is the project manager with Daniels & Daniels Construction, to give us some updates on the Streetscape project. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Good morning.
So we have much activity going on out front?
We do. We're starting to turn it back into a street. Seeing a lot of the sidewalks are going in, the bands, the concrete decorative banding, the brickwork is all in place. We are continuing on with the irrigation and the landscape lighting, which is going to be ongoing from now to the end of the project, but things are really starting to come together. Yeah,
as I walk by and come in and out of work, I walk by and see every day how much different it looks, how much the improvement is coming along, and your team is out there working strong and hard every day.
We are. We've been really making a push the last couple of weeks. We had the circle back open to traffic, and technically we were finished. There were a few aesthetic things that needed to be wrapped up, and we were able to wrap those up this past week. Put in a product that's a stamped asphalt in the medians and in the circle around the rotary, and it's a decorative product, kind of gives the look of a brick paver, but without actually having to put in a brick paver.
And that is over in the traffic circle?
That is.
Okay.
We have it in the medians, in the two traffic islands, and around the circle.
Is that a process that we'll use down the block of City Hall, in front of City Hall as well?
No, the actual pavers, there will actually be brick pavers in front of City Hall, and that work is going to start this week. There's several patterns and colors. It's really going to give a lot of pop to the block.
Okay, so that'll be all the way down the entire block from Ash to Mulberry.
You've got it.
Okay. Well, tell us about the Center Plaza area. We've seen a lot of work going on there, and wow, it looks a whole lot different.
You've got it. Well, a major part of this project, besides widening the sidewalks and the infrastructure improvements, was to give the center median, make it a larger area and a gathering area. So when people want to have functions or events downtown, it gives them a place to hold those. And,
it can be like a central location.
You've got it. And the main focal point of that is the plaza right in front of City Hall. We've put in some seat walls and some places to make it more of a gathering spot than just a place to pass through.
Okay, great. So we've got that Center Plaza. Now on either side of the Center Plaza, I believe there'll be trees that'll be planted. Can you tell us a little bit about those and when we can look forward to seeing that?
I sure can. We're going to be planting oaks in the centerpiece. Trees called a willow zelkova that are going to go in down the sidewalks.
Okay.
And we'll start to see trees go in about a week.
Oh, wow.
That's exciting.
It is, it is. Well, it's sort of, we know that we're coming to a close now. How about the deadline? Are we still on task with that?
We are. We are still on schedule for November the 9th, and that's with a week's worth of cleanup and inspections and punch lists to get everything through. We are shooting to have the street paved by the end of the month. By Halloween, we should have all the asphalt down, start striping it, and getting it ready to open back up.
Oh, that's great. That's great to hear. So we're down here at the end of the process now.
We are. We're really getting in the short rows.
Oh, absolutely. Well, tell us a little more about the infrastructure that was replaced on this one block and how it's changed the view and the processes for all the different businesses here on this one block.
Well, the major items were the water lines and the electrical. We switched over water lines to the new high density plastic pipe that's a lifetime product. I'm sure the business owners have seen improvements in their water, and it's something that's going to be in place for a very long time, and it's going to last, as long as the original lines that we pulled out.
Right. Tell us about those lines that you were pulling out. What kind of shape were they in?
They were not in very good shape. They were 50, 60 years old, and they were really starting to show their age. There were places where the lines joined each other where the old fittings had worn away, and really the only thing holding them together was the dirt that was around the pipe.
Oh my goodness.
So that was a long overdue improvement.
Right.
And I think moving forward, when the next phases of the project, that's going to be another big piece that everyone needs to be aware of, that we're really installing this to last the city, and that is really an improvement that you just don't see.
Right, right. Well, and how about the power lines? Now, they were once above.
They used to be, everything was overhead and exposed, and we've moved all the lines underground. It really gives, sight lines, it really takes away everything that was taken away from the beauty of downtown by putting it underground.
Wow, so nice and clean, open lines. You can see from one side of the block to the other. You can walk across the street, have much larger pedestrian areas for gathering and events and things like that. And our infrastructure has been replaced and is solid and sound again.
You've got it.
And our businesses are seeing a tremendous amount of improvement with that. Well, thank you, Josh. We're looking forward to what's happening in the future. We've got a few more weeks left of the project, and we'll take some pictures and make sure everybody's aware, and that'll be on our Streetscape web page as well.
You've got it.
So thank you for your update, and we'll talk to you again in 2 weeks.
All right, thank you.
Joining me now is Meg GERNAAT with DGDC. She is the promotions coordinator. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So I hear we have a new Center Street Plaza, which is an area in the middle of Center Street on this one block under construction that is going to be our focal point. Can you tell me a little about that?
We do. It's beautiful. It has a really nice sidewalk that runs down the center of it, and it's flanked by trees on both sides. There's also seating areas, so you'll have shade, you'll be able to enjoy nature, and you'll be able to walk, hopefully once the project is completely finished, all down Center Street through this center median.
Oh, how nice will that be? And it's nice and wide, right?
It is, and there's plants and grass, flowers, so it's really beautiful.
Well, tell us about some potential events that can take place and how this center area can be more beneficial and can be an asset for these people holding events downtown.
We have a lot of venues downtown where people can host events, like Cornerstone Commons. Sometimes people host things in front of City Hall. So I think that the center median of the Streetscape project will be nice because it adds a little bit more beauty to downtown. And then people can also, in the future, utilize it for their own events, whether it be, if that's a spot where vendors need to be set up, or, just a spot for people with pets and children if they want to have a seat and, enjoy an ice cream cone or food, something like that. It's just another spot for people to come, sit, get out of the sunshine, relax a bit and enjoy the event.
Well, recently we had Taste of Wayne. It was the first time they had been downtown Goldsboro, and they were down on Center Street Commons. Can you give us a little bit of information about that?
Yeah, it was a great event. They had a wonderful turnout, beautiful weather, but they utilized Cornerstone Commons and then a chunk of Center Street near Cornerstone Commons. They had food vendors, they had other organizations that support the United Way. But parking was a breeze. People were able to get around downtown, and there was plenty of parking spaces for everybody. So it was a really good event, and I was so pleased with the way the community came out to support it.
Yes, it was. The weather was perfect, like you said, and as I went around and talked with people, I found people were so happy to be a part of it.
Oh, yes.
They were glad to be there. They were glad it was downtown, and I asked several times about parking, and that's what I continually heard was they were so pleased by how easy it was and how convenient it was to find a parking place.
People commented to me that, you know, they had no problems getting around, you know, the work that they were doing downtown. You know, we had parking signs up.
Right.
But it was a piece of cake finding where they needed to go.
Well, we have some events coming up soon downtown. How about giving us some details on that?
We have Downtown Lights Up, and that's coming up on November 20th. And it'll be held where it usually is, right in front of City Hall along Center Street.
First event there
Yes.
after the new renovations.
It'll be, you know, along, like you said, the new streetscape renovation site. So it'll really be the community's, you know,
Kickoff.
hurrah
Yeah.
for having the work completed, and they'll be able to enjoy the space, and, you know, it'll be beautiful because all the lights will be up.
Nice, nice. So that's November 20th coming up. Everybody needs to mark their calendars, right? Well, can you tell us about some of the businesses on our block, on this first block, where the renovations have been going on, how they feel about the changes that have been going on relevant to the water pressure and things such as that?
We have, you know, 4 businesses that have been affected, City Hall being one of them, but we also have Pet Village, Direct Carpet, and the Little Bank. And I had heard a comment from a woman who worked at the Little Bank, and she said, you know, we hadn't realized how poor our water pressure was in our building, because, you know, it's all they've ever known.
Right.
Until they replaced the piping, and, you know, after they had replaced the water pipes, they turned their water on the next day, and they could not believe the difference in water pressure just from, you know, that change. So, you know, while they have been so patient and so wonderful throughout the process, they're really, I think, seeing, you know,
The benefits.
right, not just aesthetic benefits, but also, you know, the infrastructure underground that it needed to be replaced.
Right, and I think as we continue down Center Street, more and more businesses will appreciate that, and will be glad that we have gone through those phases. Well, tell me about discussing future phases and businesses. How are we going to engage those business owners to find out their concerns and what they would like to see take place?
It's really important to us to get feedback from business owners, especially those who are being affected right on the construction site as we move along into phase 2. So we've engaged business owners along phase 2 site. A few weeks ago we held 2 meetings that those business owners could attend to give us their concerns, suggest ways to us that would make it easier on them as we go along through this process, because, you know, it's their livelihood that these projects are affecting, and we want to be sure that they understand that, you know, they're just as involved in this process as the people planning it.
So this is a continual process. This is something, as we continue to go down Center Street and continue this project, we will meet with business owners.
Absolutely. We want to be completely transparent in the planning and, you know, how we go about conducting phase 2, and we want to make sure that they are kept in the loop the whole way through.
Wonderful. All right, well, that sounds great. Well, Meg, I'll see you again in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Let's see how far along we are at that point. I'm hoping by that point we'll be just about complete with the whole project. And so then maybe we can talk with the business owners and get an idea from them how they feel at that point in time.
Certainly.
So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
If you have a comment or question about the Streetscape project, email us. We'd like to hear from you. Also, don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter, you can like us on Facebook, you can also watch city video clips on our YouTube channel. There are many opportunities for you to know what's happening in your city, so stay tuned with our Streetscape updates. We'll be back again in 2 weeks.
We're back on WGTV today. It is indeed a Friday. We're ending out the work week. What a great weekend ahead. Weather-wise, it's going to be gorgeous.
Thank the good Lord.
I know, make the most of it. Make the most of it and do something. You talked to the folks over at the fire department, Goldsboro Fire Department, a few days ago.
I did. I talked with 2 of our local firemen, and they gave me a walking tour of Fire Station number 1 with the Goldsboro Fire Department. So let's hear what they've got to say about the history of the Goldsboro Fire Department. I'm at Fire Station 1 with Captain Gillis. We are here today looking at turnout gear and all the different pieces of equipment that Fire Station 1 here for the city of Goldsboro has to offer. We're going to be learning what the firemen here in the city do, exactly what their job descriptions are. We're going to be seeing all the different fire trucks, and we're going to get a walking tour through Fire Station number 1. We'll be having several different firemen talk with us and walk with us along the way to keep us informed of the different pieces of equipment we'll see along the way. All right, Captain Gillis, if you'll walk us through this.
Okay. When we get calls, our firefighters have to have protective equipment on, of course, you know, to go into fires. And what Brandon's going to do is just demonstrate why we talk about it. First off, he's putting on a hood that's going to protect his neck and facial area, but he's doing this ahead of time because his coat has to cover part of that and his helmet's going to have to cover part of it. He just gets that on to get it out of the way for right now. What he's going to do is put on his boots. The boots are going to protect his feet from falling objects or from nails that he might step on because they've got steel shanks in the bottoms of the soles of the boots.
And that's the first piece of equipment he'll always put on.
That's correct. He pulls the pants up, which are a protective barrier from heat. They are not so protective that they wouldn't burn. If they got into high heat, the pants themselves would burn, but that's just keeping the heat off of him.
Okay.
The next piece of equipment would be his coat. The coat, you know, we tell most of the kids when we have a fire
School
prevention,
tours.
that they put their coats on to stay warm. Well, we actually put them on to keep cool in fires. Once he gets that zipped up, his hood, as you see, is kind of disappearing now. It's within the coat area. He'll pull the hood back and he'll start putting on his air pack. The air pack is so he can breathe inside of an atmosphere that is not attainable for life, being the smoke and poisonous gases that we have to deal with, and also the high heat. If he breathes in high heat, it can sear his lung area.
Now, what did he do right there in the beginning? Was he testing it for something?
Well, cutting the bottle on is running the air from the bottle itself into the pack system. And when he did that, you heard the little bump, that noise that it made. That's letting him know that the air is actually going up to that regulator that he's pointing at right now. That's a low pressure regulator that he'll hook to the mask once he gets the mask on. He's getting the straps all tight. He doesn't want to have anything that's loose or hanging, because when he's inside a structure and you can't see inside and you're crawling around, if it snags on something, then he's caught up and he has to get out of it somehow or another. The bottles themselves only keep about 30 minutes of air in them, and when they're working inside the conditions, they might last 15-20 minutes at the most.
So they have to work extremely quickly and efficiently.
Well, not so much quickly, but the harder they work, the faster they breathe. The faster they breathe, the more air they use up. So it's depending on what they're doing. If they're just sitting still like he's doing right now, it probably lasts him 30 minutes at least. He's getting ready to put on a mask, and the mask is going to bring the air from the bottle around to that regulator and to his face where he can breathe. One particular note about the mask is there's a device on the side of it, which is called an amplifier. He's cutting that on right now, that amplifies his voice. So if he had the mask on and didn't have the amplifier, his voice would be very muffled and you wouldn't be able to tell what he was saying. So cutting that amplifier on, we can better communicate with inside structures. The little noise you heard just a minute ago is a PASS device. It's a personal alert safety system. If he was to go down inside of a structure or anywhere else and doesn't move for 20 to 30 seconds, that starts to alarm. And as he stays still, it alarms louder and louder, and will eventually go to, well, it was going to, but he cut it off. He cut it off because when we're inside and we're working, sometimes we're standing still and we just need to go ahead and cut it off. But once it alerts, it'll continuously alert until somebody or he cuts it off.
Okay.
And that gives us an idea where he's at, and we can go in and we find him if he's down for some reason or another. He's going to go ahead and let it go through the full cycle this time. Okay, when we hear that noise like that, we know there's either somebody in trouble or the pass has gone off on its own, or they've set it off.
But you know to go check and go look for them in particular.
Correct. Okay. He's got his mask on now. He's going to pull the hood up around his ears and around his forehead and cover his neck up. he wants to be completely covered, because if you get into the heat, you know, whatever is exposed is going to get some type of burn, you know, whether it be steam burn or from the thermal burns of the fire itself.
So his face is completely covered at this point?
Everywhere except where his regulator hooks into his mask.
Okay.
Okay, the helmet, of course, keeps debris that falls on his head from hurting him. Once he has that hooked up, he's going to put on his gloves, and he's going to hook the collar of the coat around. And then he'll plug his air in.
That's the last thing he'll do?
That's the last thing he'll do. Right before we go into a structure, that air, that's our lifeline, so we wait and don't use it if it's necessary, you know, until it's necessary. So he's got his gloves on. The only thing he has to do right before he goes inside, he hooks up that regulator. Now he's breathing air, and he's completely turned out.
Ready to enter in.
Yep. There's one other thing he can do, and that's the hood that goes with the helmet. He can pull that down and give him a little extra protection around his neck and ear area.
And that's hooked to the back of the hat, is that correct?
Yes, correct, on the helmet. So now he is at his working capacity as far as being covered. There's no skin exposed, and like I said, he's probably got about 20 minutes of working air with him right now.
Well, tell me about the time frame that a fireman needs to be able to put his equipment on from start to finish.
Well, sometimes we have competitions and the guys go against each other, you know, and they can do pretty good. But when we're going on calls, we want to make sure that everything is correct and in its right position. So we're a little bit slower when we're actually going on a call to make sure we have everything in place, right. But when they're doing a competition, they can do a minute and 15 seconds, something like that.
And I believe we had Brandon show us a few minutes ago.
Yeah, he did pretty good while ago.
59 seconds?
59 seconds, which was excellent.
That was amazing.
Yeah, it was excellent.
Amazing. Well, that's extremely informative. I appreciate you taking the time to walk through step by step
Sure.
and explain it. I think it's very helpful for us to know piece by piece exactly what each piece of this equipment does and what its purpose is. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
So here we are looking at the wall of history that tells the story of the GOLDSBORO Fire Department. We see so many different pieces of history here that do tell that story, from pictures of small groups to individual shots of firemen back in the 1800s. Can you tell me when did it start? When did we have the first fire department?
The GOLDSBORO Fire Department was established actually in 1881. We got a bunch of pictures up of the one on Ash Street. And,
is that the original location?
well, that was the old station.
Okay, okay. How about this particular complex?
This complex, the police and fire, was built in 1976.
1976,
Yes,
okay. So what we see is many different types of pieces of equipment that you all have used through the years, and as we see, they have definitely changed.
Yes,
there have been many advancements in the pieces of equipment. Can you tell me a few of the things that we're looking at?
In our history case here, we have different older nozzles that were used back in the early 1900s, different hand tools that were used, and of course, for the fire service, for a chief officer, his bugle that he used to call commands across the
So that's
fire
what that
service.
was used for?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. And some of these larger pieces of equipment up here, what are some of these? Does anybody know what this is referred to as?
The gun, as you see right here, is a
Right.
rope gun. It was used to launch ropes from building top to building top to perform rescues and haul equipment across building top.
Okay, so I see an old dial phone here. Can you tell me what that was used for and the differences in the way people make calls today versus years ago?
Yeah, you know, now we call 911 traditionally, and from there it dispatches out to what department we're used to. There was a phone number that you would dial. Like this one was, 734-3033, and that was here at the watch desk, and that's where that come from, was watch desk. And that's how the public would call and tell us that there was an emergency, unless they used one of the ticker tapes that's used to be posted around the city.
So they directly called the fire
They
department?
would call directly to the fire department.
Wow, how
Yep.
things have changed.
Ain't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Now tell me about this right over here.
The speaking trumpet, what the speaking trumpet is for commanders, chief officers, whoever's in charge on the scene could get their voice heard, and you know, we didn't have radios back then, so you had to holler, and this made your voice amplified.
Okay, so tell me about this piece down here and then this long wood piece here with the hook on it.
Okay, the block and tackle on the bottom, that's basically just like a mechanical advantage like you would use if you were going to rappel, just reduces friction to make whatever you're trying to pull down easier. The long, the wood piece with the big hook on it, that's what we used to call the hook with a hook and ladder. And we would take that hook and we would hook it on a wall or a roof or whatnot and pull that down. That way you haven't got all that material still burning. We would actually pull it down onto the ground.
Okay. How about this yellow device?
Whenever we were doing the demonstration outside with the pass device, that's what that is. That's one of the older style pass devices that we use just in case a fireman wants to go down, we'd be able to find them, alert us that there's something wrong.
Okay. All right, and then how about this up here?
Now we have what we call Q sirens on the front of the trucks, and that's basically what that is. That's a siren, a older style siren.
Okay, and you were telling us this here on the wall?
That's one of the alarm systems that they used to have here in the station to alert us that there was a call to wake us. That one and the one over on the wall behind us. That's what those two are used for.
And what do you use now?
Now it's a tone that goes over on a traditional speaker that we'll show you in the day room that goes off. Yep.
Okay, well, let's keep moving. All right, now we're in what you referred to as your day room. Tell me what it is and what you need this room for.
All right, this room, like I said, is our day room, and as you can see, all the recliners and sofa. This is the room we spend all day training, most of the time from 8 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon, going through searches, ladder drills, hose drills, stuff like that. Just like everybody else, after they get home from work, they like to sit down and relax. This is what this room is for, with the TVs and all the recliners and stuff like that.
Because you all work shift work, you have very long hours.
Yes, ma'am. We are on 24-hour shifts. We start 8 o'clock in the morning and get off at 8 o'clock the next morning. So we spend a lot of time with each other here, so we're pretty much a family within a family.
So every family needs a relaxing room.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thanks. Let's move on. All right, tell us about this room.
Well, the kitchen, this is a place where we come, and of course, firemen are traditionally known for their cooking, so we spend a lot of time in the kitchen. If we're not in the day room relaxing, we're in here talking a lot, just a place to get away from a TV or whatnot. So we'll come in here, we'll talk about the days, what we've done, we'll talk about the cooking, what we're going to have for supper. Most of the time, we'll start talking about supper early in the morning, and most of the time, we don't have it figured out by the time it's time to eat. So we spend a lot of time in the kitchen. A lot of time.
So do you have a certain person who cooks every night, or does it rotate, or is it a person per shift, or how does that work out?
Whoever wants to cook. We have a certain few that do the cooking on our shift, and we kind of just pitch in where we need to be.
I mean, are we talking full course meals here?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
we eat good. Yes,
Wow.
we do. I mean, we'll eat pork chops, chicken. Most of the time, whenever you got 9, 10 people chipped in, we can eat really, really good for really, really cheap. So, yeah, we eat good.
So do you all sit down together? It's like a family style meal?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
We see your special table
We
that
have
you
one long
have.
table. We make sure everybody can fit at the table, and it's like I said, we're a family, so we eat together, sleep together, work together.
Fantastic. All right, let's keep looking. Okay, so we're in the bedrooms. Tell me about the bedrooms and how they're assigned.
When you're assigned a station, either you're told what bedroom, or here at station we have more bedrooms than people, so you have a choice of where you want to be. In each room you have 3 beds, one for each shift, so you actually sleep in your own bed.
Every night, it's always yours.
It's always yours.
How about the decorations? Can you personalize it and make it your own?
Yes, ma'am. As you can see, whatever sheets or blankets you can personalize. According to policy, we're allowed to have 3 photos or certificates or anything on the wall, and you can pretty much make it as you want.
Okay, well, how about the lockers behind us? Does everybody have their own individual? How does that work?
Yes, ma'am. Everybody has their own individual locker to keep uniforms. Sometimes we have to go out to substations, so we keep sleeping bags, extra clothes for changing out if we have a big fire, or we might have to work an extra day.
Okay, how about your gear? Is it kept in here as well?
No, ma'am. Gear stays out in the apparatus bay because we get it dirty so often. We don't try to dirty up our bedrooms that much.
Okay, sounds good. All right, let's keep moving. Okay, here we are in the gym, so we're going to let them give us some details about what we use this for and who all can use it.
Well, this, like you said, this is a gym, and this is open to all city employees. Now, us with the fire department, with the tour that we have going on today, of course, our job is very physically demanding. And the fire department requires at least 1 hour of physical training every day. So that's a stipulation that's put on our job. So we have upstairs, we have all of our elliptical equipment, stuff for our agility and whatnot, and down here we have all of our weights and stuff, and we're constantly adding new stuff in here. Matter of fact, all of this equipment used to be upstairs, and we recently moved it downstairs just to give us a little bit more space since we were getting some more equipment.
So this is set up at all times?
Yes, this is just
So
like you
both
said.
the firemen and the police can use it, as well as all other city employees?
All city employees are welcome to come in and use this gym.
Okay, fantastic. So are you adding additional pieces?
As we can get it, it's nothing. It's equipment that we can acquire. It's nothing I don't think that's added into the budget or whatnot.
Okay.
But just equipment that's donated to us that we can use is what we're putting in here.
And you said every day, if you're on duty, a fireman has to have an hour worth?
We're supposed to have 1 hour of physical training every day, whether it be on an elliptical, building your breathing so that we can last longer inside of a house, or maybe weight training just to make us strong.
Okay. All right, thanks a lot. Let's keep on going. Okay, so I see trucks all around me. Can you tell me the differences in the trucks, but also the other pieces of equipment?
Yeah, well, in the city we have actually 5 stations, and each station has different pieces of apparatus in it. Here at Station 1, we house the ladder truck, we house the engine, so we actually run 2 different companies out of this one station. So you have the ladder truck, which I'm on, and the engine which Brad is on, or Firefighter Peel is on. With the ladder, we run a 100-foot aerial ladder, and some of our responsibilities are search and rescue, extrication, high angle rescue, so on, forcible entry, so on and so forth. But we don't actually fight the fire. We go in, pull victims out. We may, if there's a bad accident, we'll go to that accident. We'll do extrication as far as taking the doors off. If someone's pinned in the car, that's one of our responsibilities. There's one other engine company in the city that carries extrication equipment. That's Station 5, which is over in Central Heights. So they do that. Station 2 also has a ladder on top of their truck. It's a 75-foot Quint. They're considered an engine like Engine 1 is. Their responsibility is not only high angle, but also to fight fire. Engine 3 is a traditional engine like Engine 1. They fight fire as well as Engine 4. But on the ladder, which we're normally on, we have a 100-foot aerial, like I say, and we do extrication, search and rescue, forcible entry. We're not confined to one district like some of the other engines are. Engine 1 has their primary district, Engine 2 their primary district. We're pretty much citywide, and Brad will tell you a little bit more about what their truck does.
Okay, so we have different trucks, and each truck has its own specific duty. So the firefighters that are assigned to those trucks, they have specific things. You have extra training, I would assume, to make you specialized in that particular area. Can you tell me more about the training that you're required to have? Yes,
ma'am. As he was saying, Ladder 1, Engine 2, and Engine 5 are considered our high-angle confined space rescue. Engine 1, Engine 3, and Engine 4 are considered trench rescue. We do, I would say, quarterly training to keep up with the advancements in technology and different trenches each year. And they do the same thing for high-angle rope rescues and confined space.
Now, do you have a training room here on site?
Yes, ma'am. We have a classroom here at Station 1 and a classroom at Station 2 for a more generalized location for other companies, so they ain't got to go all the way here or make it a little shorter distance. And we do that quarterly with the other companies. And like he was saying, the engine companies are primarily firefighting companies. That's why we have all the hoses. We go in and put the wet stuff on the hot stuff is what everybody is used to.
Right.
That is our primary function. We will assist in rescues, but that is primarily ladder function.
Okay. So how about, I see boats over here, so tell me about what is their function, what do you use them for, and how often do you find that you're using them in our community?
The boats are used in pretty much natural disasters. Since we do have the Neuse River and Stony Creek that runs through the city, we have been known to go out and do a water rescue there. But the boats, we use them this past Hurricane Irene, I believe was the last one. We had them prepared and manned, ready to go for any flooding, people getting trapped in cars in flooded streets, and things of that nature. We used it at the Hillbilly Hike. We put it in the river, and we're standing by in case somebody needed assistance there. That's the primary function of our boats, and we do go once. We do it once a year on our shift. We go out and train and make sure we're up to date on that as well.
Great. All right. Thank you, guys. I have with me Firefighter Peel and Firefighter Jones, and they're going to give us some information about the characteristics of a good firefighter. Right, guys?
Yeah, well, Kim, basically, to be a good firefighter, firefighting in itself is a very selfless job. So you have to come into this profession not really doing it for the glory of the job. You have to come in and it's something that you're, I hate to say born with, but you got to have a big heart to do what we do. A lot of times we find ourselves in situations to where we're faced with death a lot. We see death, we see bad vehicle accidents, we see people losing their homes. So it's something you got to have a big heart for. It's something that you really got to want to do. It's not something that you go into wanting to do it for the money. It's a very selfless job, something that we love doing. A lot of the firemen that are employed by the city are also volunteers, so a lot of us volunteer to do this, and we do it on the paid side also. We have to have thick skin at times. You know, we're together a lot, so a lot of pranks are pulled. We have a good time whenever we're here. So that's,
You're definitely a family.
we are definitely we are one great big family. I spend sometimes more time with Firefighter Peel than I do with my own family. So, and our families get together, and you know, we have a good time always.
Does each individual fire station or firehouse, do they all feel that way? Are they with their fellow firefighters so much that they feel like that each one is an individual family?
Yes, ma'am. There's definitely let's see if I can say this, camaraderie amongst each station and as a whole as a fire department. It's like that at every station.
And in order to be employed by a paid department, we have to have our EMT certification, along with our Firefighter 1 and 2 certification, which is a long list of different certifications that we have to have. And from there, you can go into specialty certifications like rapid intervention and technical rescue with high angle and trench and so on and so forth.
So if someone locally here in Goldsboro was interested in becoming a firefighter, what is one of the first steps that they should take to become a firefighter here with the city of Goldsboro?
First step, of course, is to apply. We've just started, we're going to open our process every year to have a hiring list just in case positions come available. So you'll fill out the application, and after that, everyone is required to do a reading comprehension test at a college. You turn that in, and then after that we have an agility test called the CPAT. It's 8 events, and it's a timed event. You have 10 minutes and 20 seconds to perform all the events, and it's a pass-fail. You either do it or you don't. It's very strenuous, very, very strenuous, so a good physical ability is required for this job. And after that, you have your interview with the chiefs and the fire chief.
So before a person gets to even that process, before somebody gets to the point where they feel like they're ready to apply, what kind of qualifications do they need before that? Are there certain classes they need to take, or how does that work?
You can go ahead and have your Firefighter 1 and 2 certifications, but to be very minimum, high school or GED and EMT. EMT.
Gotta have
Okay, so
EMT.
high school diploma or GED and EMT certification, and then once you have gotten the job and you've been hired as a firefighter, then the training will begin.
Yes, ma'am. We have a academy set up for whatever the person may need. If you come in with nothing, we'll have you go through a whole academy to require or receive all your certifications. If you already have certain certifications, we can have a short academy and get you oriented with Goldsboro Fire Department's way of doing things.
Well, thank you guys, and on behalf of the citizens of our community of Goldsboro, and of course the city of Goldsboro, let me say thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you do on a daily basis. We appreciate what you do, and we look forward to talking with you again in the future.
Thank you.
White Center, all units.
We're back on WGTV today. So remember now, today is, you can vote from 10 a.m. until 7 p.m. If you don't vote today, you can vote not again until Monday. All right, weekend voting comes next week after. All right, anything?
That's right. That's it. Just
That's it.
Fall Festival tomorrow, Parks and Recreation.
That's it. We're out of time. Join us every morning at 7 a.m. here on Channel 10 in Wayne County and Channel 99 in Northern Wayne County.
That's right.
And we'll ask you to join us again tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Until then, I'm Wayne Alley.
And I'm Kim Best. That's what's happening in your community.